Okay, take two. This will be our first video dealing with content, working with the Pythagorean Theorem, and we'll see where life takes us from here. So, your first assignment is going to be to actually redo the assignment that was due earlier this week. I noticed only 10 out of 21 people turned in the first Pythagorean Theorem con assignment, and only 7 out of 21 turned in the second one, dealing with Pythagorean word problems, and there was no way for me to collect the other assignment, those final 4 problems on that worksheet. So we're going to go ahead and just reassign those. If you've already done those Pythagorean con assignments, you don't have to do them again, although I am going to reassign them, and maybe you want to get a little more practice with it. Also, I noticed that one person is not in the Google class or in the classroom for Khan Academy, so I have posted that code here in the description of the assignment, so if you haven't joined, you should be able to join. I do want to go ahead and do 3 problems for you. Before I do that, though, to turn in that worksheet, those final 4 problems, I'd like you to go ahead and take a quick snapshot of it with your phone, and then you can submit it in Google Classroom, or email it to me if you don't know how to do that either. All right, so let's take a look at these 3 examples. So first of all, we have here an isosceles triangle, and it asks us to find the value of x. First of all, we should note that there's no right angle down here, but because we have a pair of angles between these 2 triangles, and they have a pair of congruent angles up here, and they have a common side, then by angle side, these 2 triangles are congruent. And if they're congruent, we know all of their other parts are congruent. So therefore, this angle must be congruent to this one. And the only way for that to happen is if that were a right angle. So we now know we have a right triangle, and we can use the Pythagorean theorem to solve this. So first of all, I should note we have 2 sides of a Pythagorean triple, the third side of which would be 5. So that means this side down here is 5. Which means this piece over here has got to be 5, which means the length, the value they're looking for, would be 10. So x equals 10 was the answer to this question. Let's take a look at 2 other questions. First of all, very similar setup. Isosceles triangle, pair of angles, another pair of angles, shared side. Therefore, we have a right angle here. This one will actually have to do the Pythagorean theorem. But x is not the side of the triangle, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll call this side here y. And so we could set up a Pythagorean theorem. Y squared plus 2 squared is equal to the square root of 13 squared. So y squared plus 2 times 2 is 4 is equal to, when we square a square root, they cancel, so I just get 13 on the right hand side. We'll solve by subtracting 4 from both sides. So I get y squared is equal to 9, which means y is 3. So if this length up here is 3, that means this one over here would have to be 3, and therefore the entire length x would have to be 6. Alrighty. Very good. Let's do one other question. This one here was in the word problem section. It says Meg lives in Indianapolis and wants to visit her mom in Lima. And notice we have no idea whether or not this is a right triangle, so we're going to have to go ahead and make the assumption that it is. So let's set it up. Leg squared plus leg squared is equal to hypotenuse squared. 165 squared is 27,225. And 173 squared is 29,929. Those are just some things I've been working on during this quarantine period, just memorizing all these perfect squares. Or I wrote them down off screen, either way you want to look at it. Subtract 27,225 from both sides. Gives me x squared is equal to 2,704. We now take the square root of that, and that's 52. Now 52 is what several people got, but it is incorrect for the answer, because the answer asks how many more kilometers would Meg drive if she drove to Lima through Dayton. So we know to just go directly to Lima, it would be 173 kilometers. Now what we're doing is we're going through Dayton. So that means starting at Indianapolis, it would be 165 plus the 52 kilometers, or 217 kilometers. So to figure out how many more kilometers this way than directly, we would take 217, subtract 173, and we get 44 kilometers more if she drove through Dayton on her way to Lima instead of directly. Okay. So I do want to remind you, I am going to do office hours on Thursdays from 10 to 11 a.m. as well as we'll also be doing them on, I think it's Monday. Yep, Monday and Thursdays from 10 to 11. So I will be creating a Zoom meeting for this class tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. I will be posting the code in Classroom probably around 9:30. So anytime you want to get on between 10 and 11, I will be there. Alrighty, take care everybody. I will talk to you soon.